Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about the most common needy mistakes that people make when they are dating someone or they're interested in someone that puts them off, right? So basically you want to avoid doing any of these things if you want to come across more attractive and to basically lessen the chance of this person potentially losing interest in you. So I feel like the first one is not giving someone an opportunity to reply back. So what I mean by that is that you send perhaps a message to someone that you like or someone that you're dating and you're just saying, hey, how are you? And perhaps this person takes a time to respond back. And the worst thing that you could do is to not give them time to respond and to actually send them another message. So you send a hey, how are you? And then perhaps you might send another hey, how are you? Or perhaps you might say something like, hey, are you there? Or something like that. You want to avoid doing that. You got to see, messaging as, like a game, basically. You have to wait for the other person to send the ball back to you, right? And you can't just keep on throwing messages at people. You have to give them time to respond to you. And if they don't respond to your, hey, how are you? Then you know that that person isn't interested. So it's best not to get butthurt or angry about it, because I see a lot of people doing that. They get angry when the person that they like doesn't respond to their message, But unfortunately, in the world that we live in, it's so much easier to just ghost people and hoping that they're going to take the hint that way. I don't personally agree with it. It would be great if someone would actually just say, hey, I'm not that interested in you, or something like that, and they, just come out and say that they're not interested. But most people like to take the easy route and just not saying it. It's just not say anything at all. So you don't want to be keep on sending messages, because you never know what's going on in the other person's life. They might actually genuinely be busy, because especially if this is in like the first little stages, they don't have that much feeling about you yet. They don't have that, their emotions aren't engaged that much at the moment, right? So they probably think it's okay to not message you. They're probably not thinking about you non-stop and things like that, and they probably have other things that they may need to deal with, because at the moment how they view you is, oh, I just want to see how things go with this person. And they're kind of being very casual about it. So they don't mind, replying to you a day later, or maybe even a couple of days later. And like I said, you never know what's going on in someone's life. They might genuinely be going through something really tough right now, or they might be just super, super busy, right? And I once had a conversation with someone who said, oh, well, this person didn't message me. But they've told me that they're doing this and they've got a lot of things going on. But why don't they talk to me about it? Like, I can be a good ear for them. I can, talk to them about it if they're going through a lot of stuff. And it's like, well, this person doesn't have that connection with you yet. You're only just dating. You've only just met. They don't feel, strong enough. Their connection to you isn't strong enough for them to feel like they can open up to you and talk to you like a friend, or how like a long-term lover would. Right, the relationship that you have with someone that you've been with for a long time, then yeah, you talk about your problems together, but you've only just started dating. They probably don't feel comfortable opening up to you yet. And you got to consider that, right? If they might be away, they might be out of town, they might be somewhere where there's not very good signal, right? Because some places where people work, the signal's not that great, so perhaps they don't have internet connection where they are if you're messaging, let's say, online. So you got to take these things into consideration and not be too worried about getting that response back, because if you are and you keep on sending messages, it's going to give off a very, very needy vibe, and that like you can't wait, right? So you got to have patience, right? You really got to have patience and not be so impatient. And basically neediness is basically just impatience in another way. So it's another way of saying impatience, basically. But it's more like an emotional impatience, okay? So you don't want to do that, okay? You don't want to be sending more messages than you need to, especially if they haven't responded to the previous message that you've sent them, right? So another kind of thing that is really, really needy is when perhaps the person that you like or the person that you've been dating starts to perhaps, get a bit more comfortable with you. And basically, when they start becoming more comfortable with you, sometimes it can seem like they're losing interest, or perhaps they're just not as excited to respond to your messages and things like that. Or it could be like a genuine case where they have started to lose interest. And if that's the case, where I see people going wrong is they think, oh, I need to do something to fix this. I need to do something to make them like me again. I need to get them to back to that point where it was more intense and we were all over each other. But the worst thing that you could do is to reach out to them, is to call them up and try to fix things, or even just simply bringing up the fact that you feel like there's a problem, like, hey, what's going on? We were, last week we were really into each other and now I feel like you're not as enthusiastic. You don't want to do anything like that. When someone starts behaving in a way that shows that perhaps they're losing interest, the best thing for you to do is to actually match and mirror what they're doing. So if they were messaging you every day last week, but this week they're only doing it every 2 days, then that's what you've got to do as well. You've got to message them every 2 days, right? And I think a lot of people get scared at this because they're like, oh no, but will I lose them if that happens? If I back off, will I lose them? But the thing is if that's the case and you do back off and you lose them, then they weren't very into you to begin with. Because if someone really, really likes you, once they see that you're backing off, if they're really into you, then they will start pursuing and make more of an effort, right? But if they don't and they don't care, then they will fizzle out of your life. And if they don't care, you don't want them around anyway. You don't want someone around who doesn't want to be there, basically. And if they've started to lose interest, and you start to back off and you start to match and mirror what they do, and they don't, start pursuing you, and they don't start putting in any effort, and they don't start trying to fix things, or they don't start being more enthusiastic about you, then that's not the person for you. And they've just taught you a very valuable lesson, and that is, this ain't the one, right? So now you can go off and find someone else, right? But the point is that if they do like you, you're not going to lose them if you start backing off as well. If they like you, they will start reaching out to you more. They will start pursuing you more. They will start putting in more of the effort once you start putting in the same amount of effort as they are. And what that does, it creates attraction. Like if you're strong and you back off when they back off, they will find that very, very attractive, because they can see that you have self-restraint and emotional self-control and you're not chasing them, and they'll find that very attractive. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to be needy when they start backing off. And I feel like that's when the most sort of neediness behavior starts coming out in people, when they start thinking that the person that they like is losing interest, or the person that they're dating is losing interest. So, that's another point as well. Now, when you do get into more of a relationship and things like that, and you've been together for a while, the same rule sort of applies. Like if you notice that your wife or your partner, your husband, whatever, is like not showing as much enthusiasm about you anymore, you have to also back off in those kinds of situations as well. Like I said, like the worst thing that you could do is become needy, because needy isn't attractive. Like if you feel like you need to do something, you need to call them up, you need to have a long conversation about what's going on, that's not going to make them feel attracted to you. It's just going to perhaps even annoy them, or it's just going to, first of all, mostly it's not going to make them feel attracted to you. And basically, if you feel like this person isn't displaying much interest anymore, you want them to feel more interest. You want them to feel more attraction. So the best thing for you to do is to be strong and back off as well. Now, you might be thinking, well, how can I back off if I'm living with someone, if I'm in a relationship? Well, you got to, like I said, match and mirror what they're doing. So, if they don't talk to you as much when you're at home, then you do the same sort of thing. You just get on with your own thing. You do your own thing. You might want to start hanging out with your friends more, or going out to see your family, or working on a hobby, or perhaps you go to the gym to just go out and exercise or something. Or you go out for a run. Spend more time apart, right? And if they love you and if they care about you, then they will start putting in more of the effort when they see that you're, behaving strongly. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that you're a cold fish. It doesn't mean that you're mean. It doesn't mean that you're horrible to them. It just means that you just spend less time with them. When you see them, when you hang out, you're always happy to see them. You're always really pleased to see them. And that's kind of like the thing that you have to do, you know, as well with people that you're just dating as well. You always want to seem really happy that they're there. You always want to seem really positive. Because you don't want to come off as someone who's really cold, because that's going to make them want to move away from you even further. Basically, what you want to put across is that whatever they do, you're not affected by it. You're happy no matter what. You're happy if they're in your life. You're happy when they're not in your life. And you have to really put that across. That's why I say, you know, whenever you do interact with them, you're always happy, you're always positive, like nothing happened. You have to behave like nothing's happened, even though you have noticed that they have backed off and they've started to lose interest. You know, you have to behave as though, and you have to put across in that kind of vibe that it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't bother you. You're happy no matter what. You're happy when they're there, you're happy when they're not there. And if you can do that and you can find a way to entertain yourself, because I know sometimes it can be difficult, especially if this person is your whole world. And, you know, what I would say to you, if you feel like the person that you're involved with right now is your whole world and they're occupying a lot of your mind, then you need to find other things that you're interested in and have other areas of your life that are important to you. Because if your relationship is your whole sole focus right now, or this connection that you have with this new person is your whole life right now, then yeah, it's going to feel pretty devastating if they just even back off a little bit, because that's your whole life. Which is why it's important that you have to have other areas of your life that are important to you, that are fulfilling, that are meaningful for you, and then that bring you a lot of inspiration. You know, make you feel good about yourself. You can't just have one thing in your life that's your main sole focus, because if that part of your life just goes down the drain for whatever reason, or, you know, there's a bit of turbulence, you know, it could even just be something as small as that, your whole world is going to start shaking, right? So that's why you got to have other things that are important to you. And also, if you have other things that are important to you, you're not going to be so focused on messaging your this person that you're dating, because you've got other things that you're doing, and you might be someone who's really, really busy, and you've got to kind of have a life that's busy, so you don't have time to make these needy mistakes. You know, find things that you enjoy doing, and you won't make these mistakes as much. So what you got to remember, though, mostly, is you don't need to be needy. You don't need to be coming on so strongly to someone, whether that person is someone you've been with for 2 weeks or 20 years, right? You have to be able to back off when you think things are a little bit sour with them. And you've got to act and behave like it doesn't bother you. And you've got to learn how to match and mirror what they're doing, so you know, basically, if things are going to work out. Because if they really love you, if they really care about you, if they're still interested in you, they will put in the effort. And if they're not, then they will just fade away. And that's a really good thing, because that means you can move on, right? So avoid those needy mistakes. I hope this video has helped you. And if you would like to get in touch with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.